But joining us now are two bikers who have an organization called Messengers of Recovery, a little bit different of a gang. It's a club, really, not a gang. But and they got a big activity coming up, but they're always doing big activities. Mark Elkins. Mark, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having us, Pat.
Glad to have you. And, of course, my old friend Chris Sweeney, who has seen me go through it up close and personal.
Yes, I have.
How was that for you?
Just good to see you here now.
I'm here now. And,
big change.
And it has been a change, hasn't there?
Huge.
And Chris saw me through from 10 years ago, and he's been on my side and part of my recovery forever. First of all, and I brought up this gang thing not to be cute or anything, but I think a lot of people's attitudes toward bikers are this kind of thing. And it's ironic if this came on this night. We're talking about good bikers in terms of bad bikers, but what do you make of this?
Well, that's not what we're about.
I know.
We are a clean and sober motorcycle club, and we like to put out a different image than what people really think about bikers. You know, people think of the outlaw bikers.
Right.
We've been around since 1995. We're one of the bigger clean and sober clubs, certainly on the western part of the United States, if not in the country. We like to spread the message of recovery.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that. But I've been to, we were talking about Sturgis earlier, where all the bikers meet. And most of those dudes are sober now anyway, right? I mean, I find more guys now in these clubs that are sober as opposed to outlaws, right, Mark?
There are a lot of sober people in the clubs that we found. And some of these clubs have come to us to help with certain members at times. Because they know what we're about, and we are about giving back what's so freely been given to us once we decided to change our way of living. And that's what the Messengers has done for me and for others.
I got these cool patches, Andrew, which they won't give me one, but that's, you think an honorary one, right, or something, Chris?
Well, we're going to get you a support shirt, Pat.
All right, thanks. Messengers of Recovery, they're clean, they're sober, they ride around, they go to, let's say, AA meetings, NA meetings. You spread the word, what you've learned, and you pass it on, which is part of what recovery is about. How did this start? Were you guys all... Who started this 20 years ago? John, right? But who started it? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a group of members that didn't fit in any of the... They were a square peg trying to fit in round holes,
right.
And they were sober. And they loved to ride motorcycles, and they loved to have fun. And... they just decided that, you know what, let's start something from nothing. And with the blessing of some of the other clubs, 5 guys got together and created the Messengers in 1995. And from that point on, we do not recruit. That's one of our standards. It's a program of attraction, just like the program is.
Yep.
If you want what we have, then come and talk to a messenger, and they'll tell you how to get where you need to be to become a part of us. And since then, we've grown from the San Fernando Valley is where it started. Then they branched off into San Diego. Then Riverside was formed. And then Santa Maria became a chapter. And then City of Orange, we have a chapter. And now we have one in the Santa Clarita Valley. So it just keeps growing. We're only in Southern California. We go as far as Santa Maria. And that's basically part of my control issues.
I think a lot of the issues that people have with motorcycle clubs is that they really...
I heard that.
Yeah, well, I heard it too. Okay. So anyway, so that a lot of people think that motorcycle clubs are like motorcycle gangs, so they don't understand the amount of work you guys do for the community, not only just directly regarding sobriety, but also for the community at large. That's a large part of what brings you together as a group, correct?
Absolutely. We who are in recovery, in the Messengers that I can speak for, you know, we have been through the gamut of life. Mm-hmm. We have all been through our own personal hells, and we are coming out the backside of that through recovery. We have people that come in with 2 or 3 days and end up hanging around and getting multiple years, and away they go, and we get to watch their lives change. This November, I will have been a messenger for 15 years. I've been sober for 16 years. So I was found by a messenger who's no longer here anymore, and he took me under his wing, and thank God that I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, they found me, and we save a lot of souls, and in that process, we get to give back.
Right.
Because we all did, forgive the term, crappy things to a lot of people, including our families, friends, and whatever. And being in this club is about giving back so that we can try to even out that slate.
And you can still keep your identity of things that you like.
Yeah,
We're all insane, and we still love to ride, and we still love to have a good time. And we get to do that here.
The thing about it is, and Chris, I see Chris a lot, and you know, how great was it when you found something that you love? Because I know I've never seen you not on a bike, by the way. You even own a car? I mean,
I do own a car.
Okay. But I've never seen you not on a bike. And what was it like to find something, and we're going to get into all your what's coming up, but what was it like when you said, oh my God, here's a bunch of guys who have what I have and want to do what I want to do. And Chris is a beacon of recovery, and he's very good. He helped get me sober. But, you know, and to combine them, as Andrew said, that's Wonderland, right?
It really is Wonderland. I can remember when I'd ridden bikes all my life as a kid, and then I'd stopped. And I went and got a Harley in 2003, and I went to the Love Ride, which is a ride out here.
They just had that, right?
Yeah. No, it's October usually, October, November. And I was thinking about joining a club. I was thinking about joining a Vietnam Vets Club. And I looked at their pictures on their website, and every one of them there was a can of beer in it. So I thought that might be good. And I was at the Love Ride, and I saw a messenger there, and I said, what's that guy all about? And I talked to a friend of mine, and I called up, and I joined, and I prospected, and I've been around 11 years now. It is an unbelievable combination of the two. You know, one of the greatest parts of recovery is the fellowship. The messengers of recovery is fellowship on steroids. I mean, there is, you know, obviously, you know, we all love fellow members of anybody who's in recovery. We all love them, but the brotherhood that we have in this club is really unbelievable.
So a lot of motorcycle clubs started after World War II, right? I think that's really sort of the origin of the motorcycle club. Some went into outlaw gangs, but the major motorcycle clubs were veterans. Are you seeing a lot of vets now coming back and having issues and wanting to join with you guys?
Yeah, we got a few vets in the club. I mean, we haven't seen like an influx of the Iraq people in. We haven't seen a lot of that yet. But a good portion of the guys are veterans.
Right.
We're talking to Chris Sweeney and Mark Elkins. They're members of the Messengers of Recovery. They have a big event coming up, and there's got to be some bikers out there that want to call in and ask questions. 800-222. We'll pay for the call. 800-222-5222. And by the way, our treatment center number, if you have any issue and you just don't want to call in about it, dial 888-601-6040. There are people there 24/7. 888-601-6040. When you guys ride up together, it must be an awesome sight, because there was a ride a couple of weeks ago that was a lot of bikers. I was at a stop sign for 20 minutes waiting for these guys. And I think it was part of another Love Ride. But I couldn't believe how many bikers there are. So you're an impressive and sometimes an overwhelming group of people to see when you pull up somewhere. Do you agree?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
That's not bad, but, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. We get different reactions from going down the highway to where we go to a gas station, or we pull into Solvang, you know, with 25 of us, and the Asians are taking pictures of us like crazy, and we all walk to the ice cream parlor. You know, there's the tough guys. You know, we're going to get, you know, double dip cones and stuff. That's kind of where our life has taken us today, and you know what? That's okay.
Coming up on May 29th through May 31st, which is right around the corner, you guys are having a celebration, so to speak. Tell me about it. Raffles and poker and kids games and a bike show and food. What kind of food?
We are serving a steak dinner on Saturday night, and there's food served all day long.
I'll be there for that.
Yeah.
It's on Soledad Canyon in Acton, California. Tell me about it.
It's our 20th anniversary, and our founder is coming in from Prescott, and he's going to join us, and it's a big deal for a club to survive and grow and mature for 20 years in any area. So we've decided to do up a really good party, and everybody is invited. It's a clean and sober event There will be bands, there's music, there's speakers, there's vendors, etc.
Nice.
It's at the KOA off of Soledad, and if you want to camp, you can come up on Friday starting at noon and join us. We got plenty of room. Everybody is welcome. You don't need to ride a motorcycle. All you need to do is be in recovery or want recovery. So we hope to see you all there. And anybody who's interested, you can always go to the messengersofrecovery.com, and any email to that comes to me direct, and I'll be happy to tell you how or where to get there. And I think you guys are going to post a flyer later on.
Yeah, we'll put it on our
Absolutely.
website, and we'll keep talking about it. The Hollywood Hillbillies are playing.
Right.
Are they any good?
Absolutely.
They sound like they might be fun.
They're good.
They're good? Are they as good as our band we put together every year?
No.
Okay, I know that. There's a reason why we can't talk about it. A children's playground, a swimming pool. It sounds to me like an old-fashioned family reunion type thing, where you used to go and people bring food and that sort of thing. Roger's up in Salem, and he's got a question about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wanting to ask you guys, well, two things. First, do you know Mike Warnke, the comedian down in California? He's a biker.
Man.
I don't know.
No, sorry.
Anyway, friend of mine. I seen him up at Jesus Northwest years ago up in Washington. And, well, I was wondering about your recovery method. Like I was reading in the foreword of Dr. Lowe's books how it fell into the hands of the patients. Do you guys use any particular recovery method?
I don't think that's their job to do, but go ahead.
12 steps.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm in the institute. They said I had a drinking problem, and I brewed mead, and I've never been drunk on it, but I can't get the complete works of AA in here.
Roger, if you do you have the internet?
No.
You don't get the internet? All right, well,
We'll work on that. There's a way to get them in there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
hold on, and we'll have someone take where you are, and we'll make sure some
We'll
books
send
are
you,
sent
we'll
out
send you a
there.
big book. But that's some problem that some people get institutionalized, and they should have.
Well, I mean, now we know that most drug addicts and alcoholics are ending up in jail and prison more than they're ending up in rehab. So, it's disturbing to hear calls like that, but, it's something that people need to keep working on.
To not, and by the way, call back, will you? Because I pushed the wrong button. So if you wouldn't mind calling back.
It's probably his one phone call for the month. You just screwed it up.
No, we know him. Big John, I say Big John because he's the leader. So John, your founder.
Right.
I think I've seen that dude. Did you introduce me to him? I've seen that dude around.
Well, he's been in Arizona for a few years. He retired about 10 years ago.
He's a cool looking guy.
He is a cool-looking guy.
How long has he been sober?
I think he's been sober about 25, 26 years.
Yeah, he's a survivor. When the new guys, the newcomers come in, I don't even know what I'm asking here. Is there an initiation program for them, or do you have to be? Is it like recovery, where the only thing you have to have going for yourself to come in is the desire to stop drinking? What if a guy's still drinking when he comes in?
Well, to become a full patch member, you have to be sober for a year and a day. And you prospect for 6 months. So if you come in and you've already got some time, you prospect for 6 months and then just voted on whether or not you're a full patch holder or not. If you're new, you come in until you get a year and a day. We've had more than a few people come in. In fact, one of the guys came to a camp out several years ago, drunk to the camp out.
Bye-bye.
No, he was not.
Welcome.
He just came drunk to the camp out, never been to the club before, asked about the club, joined the club, and has been sober ever since.
Good.
Close
So you
to
let him
12
in.
years. Yeah, we say you show up to one of our meetings, and you got to be sober. And once you get a year and a day, you can be a member.
Normally when that happens, the reason I said bye-bye so quickly is that you and I have been in a meeting together where somebody's come in really drunk, and we say, look, this is not the place to be drunk, and then somebody will walk out with them and explain to them that, you're welcome here, but you can't come in here drunk. But by the way, no one says anything about Lexapro and all the other drugs that people are on, but go ahead.
Well, you know, I think that all of these things are important. I mean, even people when they're drinking need someone to talk to. The part of when it becomes annoying is when they just keep repeating themselves. But my thing with people, if they reach out when they're drunk, is try and hit them up first thing in the afternoon, in the morning when they get up, and then try and have a somewhat of a clear, coherent conversation with them. Just because someone's using doesn't mean that they're not desperate to get better. And people can't detox on their own often. Sometimes it requires professional treatment. And so that's, you know, where there's people that are involved in recovery know how to reach other people that know how to take care of problems, even if they're extremely severe. A lot of people have medical problems as well when they're using and addicted. So it's important to make sure those things are checked out. It's nothing to mess around with, certainly. Yeah,
and this is what I like about the messengers is that, you know, there are so many different layers of people who recover. Like we're involved in Music Cares, and Chris and I know a lot of musicians who are sober and pass along the word to other people. And so there's one group that you never thought would get sober.
Right.
You know, bikers, you never think of them as sober. Doctors, you never think of them as drunk. You know,
hopefully, pilots,
and so, or pilots, yeah. And so, Andrew, you see all kinds in our centers.
You know, addiction doesn't discriminate against anyone. It's something that we're seeing. It's very, very pervasive in any walk of life. Even, you know, poverty even actually doesn't produce that many more alcoholics than wealthy people. So there's something to this that's more than just social circumstance. Certainly poverty can bring you down quicker, but that's just because you don't have the money and ways to get around getting out of problems for a longer time more than anything else, I think. We should take this call. There's a really interesting call in there from Ken.
I was going to take that one. Let's see. That's Ken. Ken down up in Seal Beach. How are you, Ken? Welcome.
Ken, you there?
Hello?
Yeah, how you doing?
Ken, you're on the air with Pat and Andrew and the Messengers of Recovery.
Oh, very good. I enjoy your show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a friend who I met over 40 years ago in college, and he basically became an alcoholic while in college. And the doctors told him over the years, you've got to stop drinking. I mean, this man, he was a beer alcoholic. And
it's all the same, by the way.
Right. Just okay.
I get it.
No,
and he drank basically 18 beers a day. He'd get, 3 6-packs, and he just continued. And the doctors told him, you've got to give it up completely. Well, he was rushed to the hospital about a year ago, and I mean his stomach, liver, whatever, was in bad shape. And the doctors, they saved his life, and they told him that you continue drinking and you'll die. Well, he for about 6 months he did not drink. And then he called me up one day, and he was drunk, and he said that the doctor's wrong. He says, I can get away with 12 beers a day instead of 18. I'll be fine.
We're not laughing at him.
Right.
But
and drinking mouthwash at the same time.
Yeah, once you start counting.
And so 4 months ago, he was rushed to the hospital in a coma, and he was 2 weeks in that coma, and he passed away.
Yeah.
So it was really sad, and I tried to get him help, and he refused. So.
Ken, thanks for sharing that with us, because that's what Ken, thanks so much. And that's what's sad about it, is that because Sweeney and I here had a lot of common friends die in the last 10 years, a lot. And the sad part is they got into recovery too late. Their illnesses had gone too far, or they didn't get into recovery. And the message that we put out every time we talk to somebody is that there is a way out. Believe me, trust me, there is a way out.
And a lot of these people that we see we see it a lot with opiates. They'll go out and overdose, or people with alcohol, they'll eventually just drink themselves to death. It's because they're not looking at they're not getting through to the whole picture. It's not enough just to not do drugs or not drink. That's just one part of this. That's a very important part of it. That's how we define you being sober to some degree, but that's also called being like dry. And it's a terminology we use for people that, they may not be using drugs or alcohol, but all the things that drove them to use drugs and alcohol are still operating in their head. And those can be very unhealthy people as well. And being mentally unhealthy and being disturbed, being depressed, being angry chronically isn't a way to live either. And eventually those people are like ticking time bombs, where they're going to go off at some point and they're going to end up relapsing. And when they relapse, they tend to overdo it because they do the amount of drugs that they used to do when they were doing drugs, or alcohol. They drink the amount they used to drink when they were drinking, and they don't survive that. And now we're seeing most of the overdoses happening where people are using more than one substance. So people will relapse and they'll do cocaine and drink, and then it's very, very difficult.
And then the pill poppers can't keep track. You know, Albert Einstein, long before AA was big, said the same brain that creates the problem can't create the solution. And he's right about it. He was right about that, among other things. And have you guys found that when, you know, obviously you both know that stopping drinking is only part of it. That's, to me, that's almost the easiest part. You know, once you get a structure and a program, and then all the other stuff. When you guys late at night are sitting around talking about your journeys, what's the central theme? I know you're all grateful to be alive and good, but what's the central theme, if you don't mind?
I want to say one thing about people that relapse. You know, the fellowship, you know, there's the accountability of the fellowship, which you go to, you know, the same meeting every day or the same meeting every week, and then you don't show up. People are going to say, where are you? Where you been if you miss 2 weeks in a row? Because we care. And that is, once again, steroids with the messengers. We've got 25 guys who are all watching each other's back. Right. And it's one more part of accountability there, where these guys get in this club and they love hanging out in the club, and when they're thinking about drinking, if they're thinking about relapsing, and usually you think about it, you don't, you know, alcohol just doesn't fall down your throat and you swallow it. And they one thing they have is got
dumped. It's all right.
The club brothers. I'm going to let down the club brothers, and it's another thing that I think, because our relapse percentage in the club is extremely low. I think since I've been in the club, I've seen 2 or 3 guys lose their sobriety. Yeah. And in meetings, it's just that number is just not that high.
Yeah. And you know, I think one of the things, and we had a show. We talked to this woman who wrote this article in the Atlantic magazine about recovery, and you know, the big part of it that she kind of didn't talk enough is the fraternity, is it the
fellowship,
the fellowship and the relationship, and having people to stand next to and hug you and say welcome home, and if you go out like I did.
Well, the general misnomer is if you stop drinking, then you're going to be fine, and then eventually maybe you'll generally be able to start drinking again. And you know, a lot of people, doctors in particular, aren't necessarily well trained at recognizing chronic addiction. Or addiction to the point where somebody really needs to be referred for more help. And often doctors don't know who to refer people to. So you get in this situation where people go into the doctors, kind of lie about what's going on. And then the doctor, even if you tell the doctor the whole truth, then they're kind of like, oh, well, I don't really know what to do for you. And so that's why self-help groups have started up. That's why alcoholics start up, because it was a group of people that weren't getting answers from traditional medicine. And they needed to figure out what other components existed besides the addiction itself that makes people go back and drink and relapse. And I think the point that you were just making was an excellent point, which is that, you know, when you're around people that know what's going on, people relapse before they relapse. They relapse mentally, and you can see it in their behavior. And if you're around a group of people that can see those signals, and they're educated through experience or through mostly experience, I think it has to be. Right. But if they're educated through experience, they're going to be able to recognize that before the person that's about to relapse recognizes it. And it's that support group and that ability to have people reach out to you and say, look, you're about to fall off the wagon. I can see it. You know, something's going on. Let's talk about it. Let's find out what's going on.
And the 5 words I always hear when people relapse is, I stopped going to meetings. On the worst 4 words for a guy is, I met a girl. But I stopped going to meetings is the one. And Chris brings up a great point. I go to a lot of meetings. And on the ones that I go to regularly, and I've switched them around, so I go to a lot of my morning meetings and I do a couple of night meetings when I can get to them. But if you don't show up for a couple of weeks, he's right. You get a text, and it's not judging. It's like, where you been? You okay? Or you get a phone call, and at first it's irritating. At first it's like,
well, there's still
they don't trust
you know,
me or something like that.
Yeah, but also then, we're all carrying that shame and guilt still. There's a lot of that, you know. It's the stigma of alcoholism. It's like homophobia that gets internalized. You know, it's the same thing with drinking. The shame and the guilt associated with drug addiction becomes internalized. And all those things that you hear about people saying, oh, those people are worthless, they can't do it, you know, what's wrong with them, they can't work properly, I can't trust them. If you're in that situation long enough, you actually start internalizing all those feelings and beliefs, and that comes out as self-hate and shame. And that ends up having to be fixed somehow. And the easiest way an alcoholic or a drug addict believes to fix that is by using. What they don't realize is they're just laying it, making it worse.
The event is the Messengers of Recovery's 20th anniversary. Clean and sober, and a great group of guys. These two guys I know, so we can vouch for them. I think they can vouch for everybody there. It's in Acton, California. We're going to put it on our website, but you can go to their website, which is Messengers of Recovery. Don't put Sons of Anarchy in.
No.
Out of nowhere. Messengersofrecovery.com. And kids are welcome. Trailer parks are welcome. There's camping and all that. You guys, thanks for coming in, all right?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us, Pat.
And
Thank you very much.
You got my back, right?
Of course.
Okay, that's all I care about right now. And I know you have my back, Chris. Both of you, thanks, and good luck with the event. We'll help as much as we can, okay?
Thank you very much.
There they are,
having us on.
the Messengers.